Welcome to ADCO Aviation. On the 32nd video, we discussed how I rigged the folding tail of my Legal Eagle XL. Today I'd like to finish up the tail section. I needed to rig the rudder and elevator. For the elevator, I first needed to run the control cable through the control tube through both of the holes in the UMHW plugs. How am I going to do that? I took a welding rod and heat shrink it to the end of the upper elevator cable, basically using the welding rod as a long needle to fish its way through the control tube. Don't forget, this is the cable that will go to the upper side of the elevator. Once around the front of the pulley, we will make up the end and using the bolt to place it in the arm. Sorry I didn't get a picture, but I used a string to tie the vertical arm straight up and down from the seat back and from the front firewall. Now onto the tail. I bolted on the turnbuckles to the control arm. Don't forget, this should be a castellated nut. Added the thimble to the other end of the turnbuckle and ran the cable as before, and repeated for the lower cable. Since I also swept my rudder horn to pivot at the hinge plane, I needed to come up with a strong rudder stop that is a little more forward than most builder stops would be, and I was afraid tabs off of the tail post wouldn't be strong enough, since they'd have to be so far forward. And trying to keep it lightweight, nice looking, and away from the tail wheel bolt, I made a template from cardboard and then paper before transferring it to the .035 steel. I cut this out using a stepper bit, Dremel with a cutoff wheel, bandsaw, and sanders. I clamped it into place and marked precisely where to make the bends for the stops to keep the rudder from hitting the elevators. After making the bends and the final sanding and prep, I welded it in place. I had to regrind the inside of the tail post for a smooth tail wheel movement. I painted and reassembled. I made 4 pieces of 1/2 inch by 3 inch stainless steel from the scraps that I had around the shop. I drilled a 3/16 inch hole, a 1/2 inch from each end, and bolted them together and sanded as a bundle for more uniform pieces. Again, bolted to the rudder horn and added collar for the thimble to go around. After finishing and attaching the ends at the rudder pedals, I used straps to align the pedals vertically with slight pressure from the return springs. Before crimping the rear crimps, don't forget to add the crimps for the tail wheel cables. And while keeping the rudder perfectly in line with the vertical stabilizer, I terminated both the rudder cables. Next was the tail wheel. I used these quick connectors to go directly to the tail wheel crossbar like so, and then attach the tail springs and attach the thimbles directly to each spring and to the rudder cable with very slight tension. Real quick, I have approximately 5 inches of travel for my rudder pedals. This will vary on each build based off your horn and the height of the tab on your rudder pedal. My pedal stubs are about 5 inches from the firewall. So, my tail is virtually done now. I still have a few nuts and bolts to replace and will have to make minor mod for the folding tail components. Hopefully, we will get to dig out those wings, get them painted, and get started with the folding wing part of my build. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and hopefully found some of the info helpful for your build. And if you're on the fence about starting a Legal Eagle build, hopefully I've shown you just how easy it can be. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe to my YouTube, Odyssey, or Rumble channels. Thank you, and be safe.